I'd like to introduce both Bev Hoffman, who works with NELLEN, and they do a lot of excellent work with young people and certainly through schools. And also I'd like to introduce Paul Ingwerson, who works with Kestral in Wodonga. So just one moment, I will make Paul the host. Just 1 second.
And I'm happy to start chatting whilst you're doing that. So
thank you.
That's all right. And look, it's really fascinating and wonderful that John's introduced what we're going to talk about so well. The sense of, I hear from employers all the time, don't send me young people unless they're the right young people. And my comment to them is, well, how do we make them the right young people? How are you going to help us make them the right young people? Not that I want to support that attitude, but in that sentiment is also that sense of, yes, if you have a young person that comes into your organisation, you also have that privilege, I suppose, of inducting them into your culture. And if your culture is ready to take young people in, we have young people that are ready, very, very ready to go into a workplace. So some of the things that I'll put my email address and also the website address for you in the chat to have a look at. We also have an introductory program, which we set up at year 9. So again, that real sense that by the time a young person's in year 10, 11 and 12, they're making adult decisions, and they're making decisions sometimes from moments in time where they have no idea what the choices might be, other than that they might have seen an uncle or an aunt doing that job, or they might have seen their parents go into that workplace. And we would encourage schools and encourage young people to have as much variety and exposure to businesses locally, so that they have a real sense of, one, what is the requirement of the training to be in that business, and then 2, what is it like to be that individual? So it's all fine to say I'd like to be a butcher, but what does that mean? What sort of person is a butcher if you don't know what a butcher is, or you haven't been to the back end of a butcher shop and had a look at what goes on there? So we often talk about that real sense that this exposure to an industry at year 9 gives everybody, including the young person, that chance to say, oh my God, I didn't know that that's what you had to do. Let's not do that. Let's not go there. Or, oh my God, I didn't realize that that was the thing that was a job. I thought it was just something that I was interested in, and it was really lovely and I'm quite good at it. So our programs are very much in that space of saying, have a go, have a look, have a think, have a talk to all of your family and your friends, and then make your choices. When you get to at the end of year 9 and you get to year 10, 11, and you want to go and do a traineeship, well, you know what you're choosing. So for all of the businesses out there, I would say, would you like to be one of the businesses that we bring young people to? And then you can showcase all the best things about your business. But then also those sense of parents and anyone that's got a young person in their life, give us a call, because we can actually open those doors into schools and have young people in your workplace. So I'll pass over to Paul now, and I'll put my details in the chat. So anyone that would like to have any further conversations about this, just give us a call. Thank you.
Thanks, Bev. I'll share my screen. Okay, so I'm Paul from Kestral. We're also a group training organisation. So John from Squad talked a bit about traineeships. I'm going to talk a little further about school-based apprenticeships and traineeships. So we also run the same sort of program. Basically, we can recruit, employ an apprentice or trainee and place them with a host employer. And one of the other types of apprenticeships or traineeships is school-based, and often employers look beyond that, but it can be a great way to get someone started in a workplace. So the concept model that we have is you have an apprentice or trainee, there's a host employer, works with the apprentice or trainee in the workplace. The apprentice is employed by Kestral. We provide support. And then you have an RTO, registered training organisation, like a TAFE, or another private RTO that does the formal training. And the apprentice is involved with all three of those, receives support from all three, and success depends on the engagement of all three and having the apprentice or trainee at the centre there. For a school-based apprenticeship or traineeship, you then need to add in an additional point there, which is the school and having the apprentice receiving support from the school and continuing their normal school studies while also doing the work. So how do school-based apprenticeships, traineeships work? They can cover a pretty large range of trades or traineeships. So generally where you might see an apprenticeship or traineeship, it could be done as a school-based arrangement as well. That then normally translates to the student, the young person, doing 1 day a week in that business. It is possible to do more hours than that, but generally 1 day a week. On top of that, they need to complete their Certificate 2 or Certificate 3, depending on what level qualification they're doing, and they'll have a school program. So it does require someone who is reasonably organised, but we do find it works for people that want to look to go beyond what they're just doing at school, want to be engaged in the workplace, and it's a great way to have a job while still at school. For an employer, can provide a few different scenarios. It could be filling a short-term need, might be for 1 day a week, need an extra person in the business, or might be part of a workforce strategy where you really want to start creating a relationship with someone who's currently at school and hope that they would then, with the experience in your workplace, transition into ongoing work. And if they start with a Certificate 2 school-based traineeship, they could then progress at the end of school into a Certificate 3 or Certificate 4 traineeship in the workplace there. The school-based apprenticeships and traineeships are also eligible for the Boosting Apprenticeship Commencement Program, the wage subsidy, and there's some levels of incentive payments that go to them as well. So they have a range of benefits there, but the only things to be aware of is that there is a cost, obviously, with covering the 1 day a week of wages and then some of the time for covering the training that they do as well. One of the things to think about with apprenticeships and traineeships is how to boost the chances of success. And from the experience that we have, there's a number of things for an employer to look at that increase the likelihood of completion and someone being well engaged with the workplace there. So first thing is that apprentice or trainee understands the workplace. They understand one, the culture, but two, the actual work that will be done. All jobs have things that are more or less enjoyable in other parts of it, and that's the trick, that people become exposed to the range of pieces of work, whether it's some parts that might be more boring or more dirty or just more difficult. It's important that people understand what can be involved. Great way for that can be someone doing a trial in a workplace or some work experience. That gives them some exposure, gives people a chance, and Bev has really referenced how that can be supported through NELLEN with options for work experience. And of course, schools are able to facilitate that as well. And what you'll find is certainly nowadays schools are very good often at facilitating work experience at all times of the year for individual students if they think that's going to be in the best interest of the student. So one of the other things for success, ensuring that an apprentice or trainee understands that there will be challenges. Potentially 3-4 weeks in, they might be just asking themselves, what am I doing? Why have I made the wrong choice? Probably that's actually not uncommon for people going into a job, but having a conversation with them about that prior will help them understand that's a normal flow of feelings, and you can push through it and come out the other side. The communication is always important for success, and that's in both directions. Communication around setting the expectations, and also for the apprentice or trainee, understanding they actually need to communicate. If they have an issue, if they can't make it, if they're struggling, they need to communicate. That's one of the biggest challenges that we do see with young people in some of their jobs. And I think outlining that that's important is an important part of success as well, along with any of the other expectations. Also, from an employer perspective, every person is different. You want to understand any specific circumstances or challenges or support that an apprentice or trainee might need. Are they going to need extra support with their literacy or numeracy, and therefore need to have some extra engagement with the registered trainee organisation? Do they have some challenges with transport or some other piece? But understanding those challenges at the beginning, and then understanding if you can work with those and manage them, and having a fairly open relationship around that makes a big difference. Then, of course, the right fit around the culture, and some of that understanding comes from if work experience is possible or a trial, and getting the right mix for the culture is really important. And then for school-based, you really do need to have the school support and the parent support or guardian, or generally someone relevant like that, plus the employer and the apprentice or the trainee. So it is a way that you can build a workforce quite well. It's an opportunity to really expose people to your business, but it's about understanding that it does require some investment and some time there as well. So if you are interested in any further information, then feel free to contact Kestral. Details are there, or you can look us up online, and we're also based in Wodonga and office in Wangaratta as well. Happy to take any questions or discussion.
Thank you very much, Paul. Bev, you might have thought of a few other things to mention.
No, I think we've pretty much covered it all.
Okay.
Yep.
Look, one thing we found when we engaged with businesses last year was we did get a fair bit of feedback from various people about the success of apprenticeships and traineeships, but also some feedback about young people not having the right attitude. I'm just wondering if you have, Bev or Paul, any perspectives on that, and can that be influenced through schools or when you're working with people at a very tender age?
Sally, the quick and easy answer is to put them into a workplace as soon as possible. Schools can only teach them how to be students. That's their role in a school, is a student. Putting a young person into a workplace is how they will learn what it is to have a work ethic and to have a right attitude. Yeah, you can, we all know we can be told something, but until you actually do it, until you actually make those mistakes, until you actually have that feedback coming right in your face that that's not the way we do things around here, then it's all going to be a theoretical exercise. Young people in the workplace, getting them into the workplace is the answer.
Excellent. So, yes, it is such a good opportunity, isn't it, for young people to experiment with work and to really envisage their future. Thank you both so much. Oh, sorry.
And for an employer, no, you're fine. And for an employer to see themselves as the teachers of their industry, the teachers of their particular skill and knowledge. It's not enough to say that teachers can teach them that. It's actually, as an employer, I have to show you what it means to be my employee, model what it is, and set you up for that strong work ethic by encouraging all of those qualities. So yeah, I'm a former teacher myself, so I'm not bagging out teachers. I'm just saying you can't do it in a classroom. It doesn't work. It has to be in the workplace. So
that's a great contribution. Thank you both so much for your time tonight.